Hey guys, Brian here from Better Chess Training, and I'm continuing my series on reaching for 2000 on chess.com. And I'm going to go a little out of order, partly for time's sake. I have a couple draws and losses that I do want to share with you as part of the journey. I don't want to just show you my victories, but but I want to spend a little more time analyzing those. So today I want to show you I did have a win here. Uh, on chess.com against the Sicilian Dragon, one of my favorite openings to play against. And this was against a opponent who was rated about 150 points higher than me. So I was very happy to pull out the victory. And I want to show it to you because I thought it was very instructive. I thought I played pretty well. But like I said, I will be sharing a couple of games where I did not play as well because those are actually probably more instructive, at least to me, once I analyze them and find out what went wrong and how I could improve. But for time's sake, I wanted to show you this game today. So let's get started. Start out with e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, open Sicilian, as I've already alluded to. This will turn into a dragon here. So c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight to f6, knight to c3, and here g6. We have the Sicilian dragon. So bishop to e3 is played, bishop to g7, f3. So this is the Yugoslav attack, and we've talked about this before. I've made other videos about this before. Um, Black castles, here queen to d2. This is all theory, so I'm going somewhat quickly right now. Knight to c6, and here we castle queenside. And as we know, the general idea here is that white is going to push here on the king side. Uh, but here, black plays what I believe is one of the main lines. Actually, it is the main line, which is d5. And here, I don't play, the main move here is e takes d5 with a decent game for white. But I play a slightly different move here, king to b1, which I believe I've shown you in other videos as well. It's the third most popular move, and this has a couple little nuances that I enjoy. So here, knight takes d4 is the top move, and here I also play the top move, which is e5. You can also play bishop takes d4 here, but black actually scores well after d takes e4, f takes e4, and bishop to e6. Uh, and you can see here this pawn is isolated and somewhat weak, and black gets an okay game out of this. Okay, but let's go back. So that's why e5 is often played. And here, knight to f5 is the main move. And here, I actually didn't know the theory here. Um, I tried in my own practice. I don't really study the openings too broadly until I play the variation. So here, I find the next moves are somewhat forced though. E takes f6. E takes f6. Bishop takes f6 can be played as well, but seems to be score very very well for white after knight takes d5. We're hitting this bishop. We're threatening. Um, we are uh, threatening here as well. And so let's take a look here. Main line here is queen takes d5, surprisingly. And why is that? Because queen takes d5, knight takes e3. We have this fork, and if we save the queen, which is the main move, we have knight takes d1. And then queen takes d1. Let's take a look at this, actually. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this position. So essentially, it looks like black has, and this scores actually very well for white. Black has, the next move here is bishop to e6, but basically white scores 50% on this here. So um, we have basically a bishop and a rook for the queen, which just isn't enough. And practice has shown that it isn't enough as well. So e takes f6 is the main move here. And I found the other main move here. So all of these I'm finding over the board, but it's not super difficult if you calculate here. Knight takes d5 is good for black. It's not a blunder, but it's decent for black here. So bishop to c5, attacking this rook is the main move. And here, in order to fight back, and I'm just going to throw the engine to make sure, d4 is the best move. And with the line here, bishop takes f8, queen takes f8, and then knight to b5, trying to collect this pawn. But then it looks like black is attacking this rook now, and it gets a little more complicated here. So this actually does well. The engine says it's about even, so this would have been better. Instead, my opponent made a mistake here with rook to e8. And so this allows what I played in the game. Knight takes d5. And so the threat here, of course, is this knight check and winning the queen. So bishop to e6 is played, but it's already too late here. Bishop to b5, and we're going to win the exchange. Here, my opponent played queen takes d5, which is losing. Actually, when I calculated this, I almost played rook takes f8, which would have been bad, of course, with mate in 2. But luckily, this was a classical game, so I had plenty of time to see that I had to take the queen. And after the bishop takes back, here it is best. Now, you can take here, but this kind of lets, and you've won essentially a decent, well, you haven't really won any material, but you have a great position here. This pawn structure is somewhat not so good, but the best move here is to take the rook. Okay, my opponent got this check off, which is best as well, because if you take back, I'm going to win even more material. So rook takes a2 check, king takes a2 happened in the game, and here rook takes e8. So here I have an advantage, but the question is how to proceed from here. And I'm going to ask you to, if you want, you can pause the video and tell me what you would have played. Okay, hopefully you didn't say bishop takes a7, because then you give the advantage back to black and he pins your bishop. Instead, simple play is best here. And rook h to e1 is a good move. Of course, the engine's telling me I could have played bishop to f2 as well, but I like to be a little more direct, get that rook onto that open file, contesting here. Of course, any more exchanges or exchanging the rook is going to be great for white. Okay, rook to c8. And here I didn't... it's actually saying bishop takes a7 is good, but after rook takes a8, it just doesn't seem great. But let's see what it says here. King to b3. And after rook takes a7, the idea is that we have this check, and we are going to basically win this bishop back. But I did not see that deeply in the game, and I think what I played was fine, which is actually the second best move here, which is bishop to b4. The idea is that I can kind of reroute here. h5 was played, trying to give the king a little space now. And here I simply played king to b1, just bringing my king back over towards the center, maybe kind of keeping it out of trouble here, and of course protecting the c2 pawn. Okay, rook to c4, and here I got this check off first, just to push the king towards the edge. King to h7, and then I protected my bishop. So just a little nuance here. Let's go back and just see what the engine says here. Engine says actually that move is fine, but for some reason this move is a little better. But this is what I played. Okay, bishop to c3. rook to c7, and here, um, when I'm ahead in material, but the key is how are you going to continue to proceed here? And there's a lot of moves that can be made. Um, Here, the engine gives a ton of moves, and they're all winning. But I decided on a concrete plan of trying to restrict this knight. So I played g4, and after h takes g4, h takes g4. Well, I know this. He's going to play one of a couple moves. Like obviously, all of these moves here, rook to knight to e7, um, just doesn't look that great. Um, he can't go here, of course. Can't go here. Can't go here, and this does not look so great either. Actually, with this move, then we get into a bit of trouble here, and then if he protects it, well, I could take, which I think would be just fine because now look at these pawns. But instead, my opponent went back to h6, and this is what I was calculating for. And I play just h3, just restricting it. This knight cannot come back out here for a little while. And if he tries to break out, then I can trade as well. For example, if he goes here, I'll actually play g5 first. And if he backs up, then I can take here if I want to, but I don't necessarily need to. Um, and then if he takes here first, that's okay too. I'll take back. And of course, he can grab this pawn, but he probably wants to keep his knight. And then here I can play probably this king to b2 work. King to b2 is fine. The engine is saying here to just line up here and try to win some material. And then after knight to e7, now you've got we can actually protect it this way, maybe. Oh, no, we can't because the knight's covering it. Sorry, some of this I'm analyzing on the fly here. I can play something like this. Okay. Okay, going back. After h3, he plays his knight back. And here, I just want to trade off this rook now. Let's keep it simple. That was my thought. Okay. He plays rook to e7, and here I'm looking to trade. Okay, he plays his bishop over, and I just trade. Rook takes, bishop takes, and here rook to e7. He's going to lose material. He tries to bring his king in to help support, but here I found a neat move. Maybe not the strongest move, but I thought a decent move here. The engine's saying I should just take. But I played g5. And this is also good. Here he plays king to f8. And after the simple g takes f6, my opponent resigned. Hey guys, thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. This game, it was a very tense game. This was part of the um, chess dojo tournament that I'm participating in, and it was good to get this victory against a stronger opponent. And I thought, because sometimes I will get a winning advantage and I'll blow it, so it was nice to be able to convert. If you want, like I said, I've had some success against the Sicilian Dragon. I made a video about it. I'll put the link over there. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel here. Okay, have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.